Right, so as I already will have teed up, I've been meaning to get various people on. Some of the photographers I'd love to get on soon, but one of the people I've been keen to get on for a while now because he's been creating footwear, custom footwear for a while. John, who is the founder, the brains behind Zebra Customs. Now, if you follow us on Twitter or Instagram, probably you will have seen, particularly Paul Mullin has had a number of boots made up, but Jacob Mendy, Elliot Lee, Ollie Palmer, Ben Tozer, and even if you're a real diehard, even more so than us, Bootlegger back in the days had his own custom pair. John, thanks for coming on. I guess my first question for you is, when did it start? How did he get into kind of custom making and painting footwear?
So I think, like everybody, when COVID hit, I think a lot of people decided that they want to try something because everyone had like a year plus to sort of sit and mope around and decide what they wanted to do. So that was a big turning point for me. I think um, I've always been artsy, I guess, and I just had a conversation with one of my old college lecturers, and he was saying, "What are you doing? What do you want to do?" And then somehow it just came around to I bought a pair of trainers and I'd seen a guy on YouTube that was doing it himself out in the States. And I thought I'd give it a go. And then it's just stemmed from there, really.
Art was probably my worst subject at school. As in, I might have. I don't think I've ever said this on the podcast. Maybe I have. I had a teacher once who I shall remain nameless, but I gave in a self-portrait, John, and it wasn't good. It wasn't very good. I can firmly accept that. But this teacher would never laugh, rarely ever smile, and she burst out laughing at my self-portrait. So I'm glad that you're doing these boots and I'm not, and I've stuck to podcasting. What's the love affinity with Wrexham then? What's your kind of relationship with Wrexham Football Club?
So I moved. I was actually born in Scotland, in Glasgow. So I moved here when I was about 8. Um, I went to the games with my dad used to take me because Stevie Evans was his a close friend of his, so it was just cool to see one of my dad's friends playing. You know what I mean? That was like quite a cool thing. I've actually got his match worn shirt somewhere upstairs from when they were last in League Two. I wore that to the final day, which was cool. Um, I'm a Rangers fan first and foremost. I'm not going to pretend like I'm this diehard Wrexham fan because I'm not. But because of my affiliation with the club now, it's hard not to be a fan. Like it really isn't. It's so difficult because there's this infectious like disease around the ground at the minute that just keeps everybody wanting to come and because I have like I said because I have like a good relationship with the players and stuff now, I find myself like you know really wanting to go and watch and just take it all in really.
To talk me through, I mean, maybe when I put this episode out, we'll share some of the boots again that people might have missed over the time. But let's just talk through some of the designs and kind of, who was your first client? Was it Moles? Was it Mullin?
But first, to be fair, he'd spoke with Ewan, the kit man. So shout out to Ewan, he's been amazing. And he talked about getting something done for the FA Trophy final, and at the time I'd happened to just be sort of starting. I'd not done boots before. It was something I wanted to get onto doing, but it wasn't something I had any plans of doing at that point. And then I got in contact with him, and he was like, right, I want this for my lad, the Paw Patrol pair. That was the first pair of boots that I did, and they were amazing. I loved them, but there was issues with them durability wise. It's like a massive like learning curve with the boots because with normal trainers you don't have to worry about wears and tears, but with obviously playing footy they're just constantly getting bashed around, so there's a lot of like different steps that I need to ensure to try and get the boots to stay durable.
So how does it work though in terms of, okay, Mullin, and we've seen them. He had the two Paw Patrol characters, didn't he, on either boot, and I think he had Albie down the, what do we call it, the spine of the boot or whatever,
Yeah.
the heel. Um, is he involved in that creative process, or does he sort of say to you, "These are the characters I quite like, or my son likes"? Crack on,
Yeah.
basically.
So normally, if for example when Mullen came, he said, "Oh, my son loves Paw Patrol," so sort of my I guess creative cogs tick, and then I'll normally do like a mock design on like a design software on the computer. So I sent him across a design, and he was like, "Oh, if you can do that, that'll be amazing." So then we just got to work really.
Yeah, and he's been one of your biggest champions. I mean, he's had multiple. Are we up to how many boots has he had done? Are we up to 3 or 4 pairs?
Well, 4 pairs sitting on my mantelpiece there, ready to be painted for him. So
Oh, and
that gives literally got ready to go.
so
So
he's just had. I'm skipping ahead here, but he's just had the Albi with the autism logo. He's
yeah,
just promoted
that was
them.
it.
Have we got any new Mullin designs coming?
So it's just that I've just got the template. I've literally just got the boots with me, but he's got three, like I said, 3 or 4 more pairs. Like that'll be. I'm going to try and make different designs because for me, I like to keep things different because obviously more to post. But yeah, you'll be seeing more of Mullin
Oh,
soon.
there you go. That's tea. We're excited to see more designs. And I guess I mean, I don't need to spell out the kind of the cult hero status of Paul Mullin, and if he's championing your boots, that is
Well,
great. Did that then spiral in terms of other players saw what you'd done with the Paw Patrol ones, and quickly you were getting orders from the others?
yeah, pretty much that was exactly how it went. Obviously, like it's the same way if somebody sees somebody with something and they want it. That's just how things tend to go. But yeah, like a lot of the time, I'll approach the players. To be honest, I'll say, like for example, I approached Elliot Lee and I said, "Oh, I'd love to do your pair." This was towards the back end of last season, and his were really nice because his were like a sort of sentimental stuff, and there was a lot more design on those with the butterfly
Yeah,
and
I
the
was going to say, talk us through because again, not everyone will have seen the boots, and we don't all have the boots to show on the video now. But basically, Elliot Lee's one, we've got a butterfly on
yeah.
one side, and then just talk us through the other elements of that boot.
I believe the butterflies to mark a passing of one of his childhood friends, as well as the number 38, which he wears. And then he's also got, I think it was a heart with like 5 initials on for different members of his family, and a little paw print for his dog, I believe.
Yeah, that was it. That was a good memory from you there. I also like the fact that they make sure that you're in the pictures when they get to pose with the boots. Um,
So, yeah,
you know,
it's nice to sort of show like who's creating stuff. And I like to. I've made mistakes in the past, and the biggest mistake I made was with Rob McElhenney. Was when I give them, I didn't hand them over personally, and that like really bothered me. So every time now that we do it, I want to be there in person.
were were
Just to,
they were they trainers that you'd make? Because I saw a pair of trainers that had, I think it had the owners on one side and it had Luke Young and someone else on the other. Maybe have I made that. There we go. There we go. So uh,
these are Ryan.
they were for Ryan,
I yeah, I meant to see him. Which game was it? Boreham Wood game.
right?
I meant to see him today, but because it was so busy and it was such a massive game, um, obviously he was so busy that it was hard to go and see him. So Ryan, if you're watching,
There you go.
get on to
Get
me.
get get
I've
pick
got
your trainers at Ryan. You've got some new footwear there. They look great, by the way. But the Rob ones, they were also trainers, weren't they? And I think
yeah.
I think someone gave them him at the fan forum thing that they had.
Well, I there,
You were there.
but I sent it to Humphrey. I think it was Humphrey I gave it to, and then Humphrey sort of gave them to him, and then it was great. Obviously, I actually got to speak to him and stuff, but for me personally, it would have been nice to just give them. And now, like I make that point, like every time I do something for somebody, it's got to come straight through.
There you go. Well, look, when Ryan gets them, you'll be there physically
I'll be
handing
there.
them over, which is good. Lesson learned. There've been loads. Ben Tozer had some. Libby from the women's team, she had quite
Yeah,
a sentimental pair, which was nice about her late
yeah.
dad, wasn't it? So, I mean, for you, it must be because they're always so happy to get them. It must be so rewarding when you finish the design off.
There's something about creating something and then having an athlete wear it and play in it. It's a bit different to just creating like a piece of art for them to hang up on their wall because it's kind of with them on the pitch, and like I put a post out when I did Mullin's last pair for last season. I said on the post, I said this will be the pair that take Wrexham to the Football League, and then he obviously scored the brace on the game against Boreham Wood. So it was just stuff like that. It's crazy, like top goal scorer in the FA Cup. Like you can't ask for better advertisement than that.
No, I mean, yeah, Paul Mullen's boots were essentially made of gold. Last season, they couldn't stop scoring, so that was great for you. I mean, this week, I'd be remiss if I didn't touch on the topic, given it is in the documentary this week. the boots that went all over the world, and for something that you just started in COVID, mate, I couldn't imagine what
Yeah.
that would have been like just seeing it unfold. We don't need to get into the ins and outs of what
No,
happened too much
no.
because in the documentary, but did you think when he got those boots or asked for those boots, because it didn't take off straight away, it kind of did explode when it exploded, but the F the Tories boots, I mean, how do you look back on that whole situation?
I was all for it when he spoke to me about it. We spoke about it, and obviously this is his views, and I agree with them. Totally. Like what he stands for, it's amazing. But he approached me with this, and I was like, right, I'll get to work. Let's go. I want to do this because I kind of knew that it would at least be a popular post. Let's say.
Mm.
Did I expect it to go as what it did? No, but I mean, it was just crazy. I had so many messages, positive and very negative, of people.
It just just
I had different.
just, just amazing though, because they were. I mean, that was no exaggeration to say that had gone global. That
Yeah,
whole story. I mean, it was obviously the increased attention on Wrexham. Ryan Reynolds even says on the documentary like he liked the Instagram post.
yeah.
So that must have been very surreal, like you say, because you are designing all these boots that look great, but that one really was like this explosion of
Yeah.
interest.
In my opinion, like all the other boots I've done for Paul were better designed, but because of the statement and the
Right.
magnitude, that was they're the most there, which is fine. Like I'm content with that, but then it's kind of like, well, it's a shame because obviously I've done a lot of great work, and then it's kind of those that got the shot. It's weird. It's a kind of bittersweet feeling, is what I'd say.
I feel like that's the way of the world, though. No, like anything that
It's
causes the most
that
controversy will always get you the best number one spot.
exactly. Yeah,
But when
just
Ryan
until
Ryan Reynolds puts your trainers on Instagram, that'll usurp it as like the most. There you go. So, what's been your favourite pair? What it doesn't have to be for Wrexham. What's been the best thing you've designed, or your favourite design that you've ever done?
so it's strictly like what I was happy with. I did a denim jacket a few months ago. Like it took me like 50 odd hours, so that was probably the most rewarding piece of work I've ever done. Um, it's probably a toss up between Mullin's. Just the whole thing of Mullin be the top goal scorer, win the league. It's hard not to love those boots. To be honest, it's not like an intricate design, but it was just great, you know. But I also did another pair for. I don't know if you're familiar with the UFC at all.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
There was a fighter. There's an Aussie fighter. His name's Tai Tuivasa. He's a big heavyweight. He drinks beers out of shoes.
Right.
So he was one of my favorite fighters, and he still is. And I messaged him, and I was like, I really want to make this pair of shoes for you, so you can drink out of it when you win. And he replied, he was like, yeah, let's go. I was like, oh, okay, let's go. And so we got talking. We did a video call. I made the shoes for him. They were like he's got like a beer brand, so it's like advertising his beer brand. So I sent them out to him, and then he fought in Texas, and he knocked the guy out, and he drunk a beer out of my shoe on like BT Sports. That one was probably for me. That was the biggest turning point in which I was like, you can literally create these moments for yourself if you just talk to the right people or you get a nice little break.
Absolutely,
So
yeah, absolutely amazing. And like you say, the kind of the feeling of pride when you see them either scoring a goal or doing a shoey after a after a fight, that is amazing. And I mean, I was just looking then at the Andy Cannon lion boots. Was that a quick idea after the whole? Because that came out of nowhere for him. He was like nothing to do with a lion. Then he
yeah,
claims he's seen a lion on the motorway, and next thing you know, there's a lion bar up in the dressing room, and he's got lions on his boots.
yeah, literally. It's just as soon as that come out, it's just like that's what it is. When things like this happen, just ideas start ticking. You know, like it's the first thing I thought. I thought, right, I'm gonna do Andy Canada pair. I'm gonna make them Lion King themed, and they're gonna go down really well with the fans. It's just that's. I mean, just like making the most of these opportunities when they arise. I think
And where do you think it can go for you now? Doing because are you just a one man band at the minute?
I'm on my own doing it at the minute. I've had a lot of support from friends and family and stuff, but in terms of actual like pushing out stuff, it's pretty much just me. I'd love it to be my full time job. That'd be a dream, to be honest. I've got something in the pipeline that's a little bit different, but would definitely interest Wrexham fans. It's like a clothing.
Right.
Um, it'll definitely interest a lot of people, but it's very early days yet.
Oh, here
So
we go. You're just coming on here, just teasing us with new Mullin designs and clothing range, early days. Hey, look, people, I'm trying. He's tough not to crack. But yeah, it's. I mean, just looking at the designs, the recent ones I really like the Mullin Albi,
yeah.
autism ones. I mean, for you, do you get to have any? Because you get the moments, you get the screenshots and the pictures, but have you got in your studio, your home, any mementos? Like, do you make yourself a pair of the boots, or do they give them back to you if they're not using them anymore?
So I spoke to Mullin about potentially getting one of the shoes from last season because that'd be nice. I don't know whether like if he wants to keep them, like I totally understand. Like for him, it's a massive memento as well. Um, yeah, I mean, I think that'll come in time. To be honest, like I'm not too worried about that at the moment. Obviously, it'd be nice to have a couple of things in like a video and like to look back on and think, oh, that was from this time. But I'm confident that'll come like in the future.
Yeah, there you go. And I don't know, maybe a couple more. Then who would be your dream athlete or footballer to design a pair of boots for? Just say anyone in the world you can design a pair for.
Um, well, I'm a Rangers fan,
Right.
so I'm a Rangers player. But again, I think I'll I'll get that done. I'm pretty sure. I did say I was going to do it this year, and I stand by that. But we'll see. It's just that actually went up to the training ground like a few weeks ago because I'm very much a kind of I do things. I go myself. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm kind of I literally go there and try and make things happen for myself in person. I got to training ground, spoke to like a couple of people. Um, it was a bit of difficulty getting towards players, but like I said, I'll just try to keep trying. I'll do it. Um, in terms of I don't know, it's difficult. Obviously, top athletes would be amazing. Like obviously, you could say Ronaldo or something. If Ronaldinho was still playing, it'd be cool.
Nice, nice, Ronaldinho. Well, look, until then, you've got Andy Cannon and Mullin, and you've got a few. Surely you've got a few more to tick off. Jacob Mendy, who was in the documentary this week, he did his boots. We saw him
Yeah,
get his first goal. Um, yeah, his were. I'm trying to remember his Gambian, and yeah,
yeah, they were subtle. I think they a lot of people that are not too keen on big fancy designs would appreciate those because they were quite like classic looking, and they really looked like they were like a part of the boot, like you could get it off the shelf sort of thing. I felt like yeah, they were really nice.
well, I guess finally, what are your expectations then for Wrexham this season? I know you're a Rangers fan, but it's hard to escape Wrexham now. You're embedded with the players and kind
Of
of all
course,
that. It's I'm doing this on the back of a 5-0 shellacking at Stockport. It wasn't good, but I'm saying all hope is far from lost. It's been a positive start with only 2 defeats in 9, isn't it?
I think it's clear to see that there is issues,
Hmm.
but at the same time, I really think the fact that they were favourites to go up is crazy. I think the favourites to win the league is crazy because they literally just come up. Like how often does a team come up? And you can say all you want about the money and the players they brought in, but at the end of the day, like they've literally just come into the league first time in 15 years.
Surely that tag's just come from the kind of promotion and the interest in
Yeah,
terms of like the Hollywood. They're not even bookmakers are just jumping on essentially the
yeah,
documentary bandwagon now.
yeah. They don't watch week in week out, do they? So they don't see. Not to say that they can't do it. Of course they can do it. Like they're a great group of lads and there's some really talented players. But I just think that people. I think if you're in the playoffs, people should be more than happy. I
Mm.
don't think any really be. Obviously, it sounds you don't want to downplay anything, but you shouldn't be automatically expecting right they're going to win the league because it just doesn't work like that. Like those other lads in front of you aren't going to roll over and just take a a beating, are they?
No,
So
we've seen this season. I mean, 3 games where we've conceded 5 in all 3. Swindon,
I,
which we came back to.
I went to the 5-5 game the other week. I was just like, what the? I was like, what's this? Is crazy. It's like Hollywood football. That's exactly what it
It
is.
is, and you know what? I'm kind of glad we've got you on because obviously your boots did feature on the documentary this week. And Mullin, look, he hasn't got off the mark yet. You're working on some new boots. He's gonna find his feet figuratively and literally, and probably your boots will be on him, mate.
He's different gravy. There's no doubt he's going to start scoring. Like, I'm not worried at all. Like,
Nah.
he's just there's just something about him. He's just got that star factor, hasn't he? He's just
And
amazing.
we've all got stories of maybe we've met him once or twice, but how have you found him as just a bloke? Because he's been featured prominently on the documentary. He just seems like a top fella.
I think, like I said, I'm fortunate enough now to know him on a bit of a personal level, and I actually spoke to him the other day because I obviously watched that episode, and it was interesting to see him a sense of like vulnerability from him
Hmm.
because I'm seeing him just ice cold, basically, just all business. But to see him like that, obviously, Albie means so much to him. His family means so much to him, and then you forget that they're just people, you know. Like he's just so yeah. Like I reached out to him. I said, look, I appreciate everything you've done for me and stuff, and so he said nice things back. And yeah, like I said, I'm just grateful to know them, most of them on like a personal level. Like, there's not one player at that football club that I've had interactions with that has been negative. You know, they're all great people. So